Any thoughts on this? Do you randomize decisions, Ben?
No, never. I never did, and I never will, because I believe I think it works good in environments which are very, very unique, and for most of the viewers are not applicable when you play high stakes against the same opponents over and over again, and it's literally a spot where you can flip a coin. However, I'm still not doing it because it can slip into a habit where you will always find an excuse to randomize instead of taking a closer look, taking these 10 seconds additionally, thinking the hand through, picking up on reads, maybe by taking these additional 10 seconds, finding something else that might lean more towards folding or more towards calling. That's how I randomize. There's always something that you can take into consideration: reads, future game, ICM, stack size distribution on the table, image of the player, your own image. There's always something that instead of randomizing, you can make better decisions by taking that time. So I'm not saying the randomizing itself is bad. It's just, if you start randomizing once, you might also randomize a spot where it's actually not needed, where you have information at hand. But it's easy to say, yeah, you know what, I randomized, and our ego is really good in telling us, hey, you know, it was not your mistake. Like, you randomized and the coin flipped towards calling, you called, and it was wrong. So
yeah, it's almost like it's a bit of a cop out, right? The Hendon Mob, you can see your caches. There's some cool stats and such, but you're right. That's sort of the argument. I think I brought this up about the Hendon Mob, which is also a great site. Shows you, it tracks your results. It's cool to look back, see where you've been, what goes on. But you're right. It doesn't, like a guy who's number 5 in the world, he might be down 2 million this year playing every 25K at the Aria, and he's got all these, you know, all these caches. Like, it does pose a bit of a potential issue or problem, and I think there's some reason for that. But that you would prefer that. You would prefer to actually see the overall net plus and minus, right? That's how you're saying you think would be the best.
And also some sort of factor that considers the time frame, because someone that was winning 10 years ago, the winnings from 10 years ago should have a lower impact than someone, let's say, winning the last 12 months. So someone that made 1 million within the last 12 months should have a higher significant impact on the overall result or the overall ranking than, let's say, someone that made 1 million 1 year ago, 10 years ago. So the profits that have been generated in a shorter period amount of time, or not shorter period amount of time, but rather, you know, shorter back and few past, like 6 months, 12 months, should have a higher impact on the ranking. So there needs to be some sort of factor that wagers in, or whatever it is, but essentially everything that is more up to date should have a higher impact on the ranking.
Tell us a little bit about this video you just put out. I just retweeted. I did watch it. Doing a little podcast prep, 24-minute video, but really informative, entertaining, to kind of really address the big things in poker. Could you maybe talk to us a little bit about what that is about, or what kind of issues you're hoping to bring to light in the poker community that you think are relevant right now?
Well, the main issues are, of course, the current state of poker online and live, which is, for example, the guarantees, re-entries, the rules, or ruling in general, the image of poker in general, how to improve it. However, the main topic, and I'm not going to get too much into detail because you can watch the video, and we can spend some time for different topics, is a leaderboard system. I don't understand why in poker we don't have a system or a league or a cup, or however you want to call it, where you can identify the best players in the world, right? Like a ranking system that top 50, top 20, top 100, whatever, are eligible to participate in certain tournaments to really show playing the best against the best. We had a similar system or similar event going on with the GPL or GPI. I'm not really sure what was the proper name.
Right.
However, it was poorly executed. The idea was good, but it could have been done so much better. And I think the community was also not really aware of it, and also the marketing was not great. It needs a third party involved. You need to throw in an incentive, additional prize money, or some sort of rewards, lower rake, whatever it is, so regulars are showing up, and also opt in for revealing their caches. I mean, it's everyone's personal choice whether you want to reveal your cashes, right? You might have 10 million in cashes, but you have 12 million buy-ins and you're technically 2 million down, and you're one of the so-called super high rollers. And this is what the people want to see. They want to see the true heroes. And I'm pretty sure that there are lots of crushers out there that nobody has an idea of that actually belong to the top 50. Wouldn't it be super thrilling to see Lena, Charles Darwin playing against Ivy, against Helmuth, new generation versus old generation? I think that's what people makes them exciting or excited about poker, thrilling. And we have it in every single sports, right? Where football, basketball, wherever, chess, you have a ranking system. You want to see competing the best against the best. This is what poker is lacking. And I think there's so much more potential if we get something like that, a format like this out there where we can see playing the best against the best.
Let me ask you this. bencb, you're in front of the major sites, Party Poker, PokerStars 888, GG, whatever, right? You get to sit in front of the top people that can change things. The directors, the tournament guys, the managers, the presidents, Rob Young, etc. All the monsters in a room. You're there presenting. What do you tell them for 2020? What would be your, give me a few suggestions, tips, things that you think actually would be able to be done relatively easily, if you would. I mean, you could go into however you want to look at that, but what would you say to them? What would you do immediately to change something?
I think it's not changed easily because I'm not in the position to judge that. I'm not in a position to judge what's easy to be implemented because I don't know the numbers. All I can do is to deliver input based on the feedback that I've gotten from recreationalists, from regulars, my talks, comments, messages that I get. And of course, my own personal belief in what is good for the ecosystem.
Yes.
So there might be information or any kind of intel that I don't have access to, let it be financial, legal stuff, whatever it is, because I know also with Raise Your Edge that nobody knows about, that only I know about, that makes things more complicated and might look easy for someone else, but there is something that makes things more complicated.
True. Same for streaming videos and other things as well. Exactly. It's harder. People don't know what they don't know. So that's hard.
Of course, I would increase the guarantees. I would reduce the re-entries. I would, for example, also amend the structure a little bit more towards, for example, making, if we keep re-entries, I would decrease the re-entry or late rec period for like half an hour or an hour. So those who want to gamble, who want to build up a stack, they have the chance to. But then it's not going to be this like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of late rec and constantly firing re-entries, and then it just ends up in a massive gambling instead of playing poker, and you have 5 lives to re-enter the tournament. It sucks. It's not healthy for the ecosystem.
Is this everything you imagined? Did you ever think it could grow this big, to have this huge community? Was this kind of what you knew was possible at the beginning, or has this surprised you with the success of Raise Your Edge?
I mean, looking back, I would have never expected that can grow to such a huge community. All I wanted to do is get a course out there that changes the environment of content in poker, because back then there was great content. I mean, it's not that there was nothing really existing, but I always had the feeling it's too scattered, if that makes sense. It's just too much, and it's hard to understand or hard to figure out where do I start. I wanted to bring out a course that you start from pre-flop until heads up, and everything is basically delivered on a silver plate. All you need to do is study that shit, and no generic bullshit, not just something like, you got to be a bit looser here and tighter there. No, exactly giving instructions, giving examples of, okay, what does it mean to be tighter or looser in this very spot? How to adjust, what kind of hands we want to add to our range in order to be looser and exploit our opponent. What does it mean to be tighter? Which hands do we abandon from our range? And so on and so forth. That was my idea. And I think it's very simple, but it's not so easy to execute. I mean, trying to explain very complicated things in easy words is something I struggled at the beginnings, and I tried to force myself and get better and get better. And I think from every single course that I did, I personally also grew. And I think you can also see it in the courses that I'm updating, that every video, or you can see the progress that I made along the way.
What do you think is a good solution, and what's fair and right for our community to do on this?
Well, just because we decrease the re-entries doesn't mean we never going to reach higher guarantees anymore. I mean, there was a time where we had freeze out tournaments and the guarantees were really high. I mean, Super Tuesday, Sunday Million, back in the days, the guarantees were huge, right? And I think Party Poker also had some really big success with their guarantees lately. I mean, I love to see it, and I know it's a very aggressive strategy, but I think it's a needed change, and I would like to see the other poker sites also catching up. I think that's the direction it's supposed to go, because the main attraction for most recreationals comes from binking a tournament, right? But if you bink a $100 tournament, you get for first 2.5K. That's not really an incentive for a recreational to sit there for 10 hours and play a tournament. Right. It has to be this little bit of a life-changing moment for a little bit of a buy-in or very small buy-in, and then a big win. That's what everyone dreams. That's why lottery is so popular.